And it goes a little something like.
I'm Kent, welcome back to my channel. I've promised in a couple of videos that I'd be getting to digging into the engine to start making more power, and I finally got around to it. So a couple things, actually two, that I want to do in this video. I just had the head ported by Chaz at Riderzblok. He did an awesome job really opening up the intake port as well as getting the exhaust port as wide as it could go. So I think this alone is going to make a little bit of power. While I have the head off, I figured I'd throw on that Yuminashi 140 kit that I actually got sent like 2 months ago. At that point, I didn't have my exhaust, so I wasn't really doing any modifications for a while there. But since I have that, I figure I might as well throw it on. My only concern with that is that in the notes for the big bore kit, it talks about needing to potentially increase the relief areas on the piston if you're running a cam that moves the valves particularly high. The S1 cam from DHM that I'm running mentions that their cam moves the stock valves as high as possible. So I'm going to put it together first. I may try to put some stickers or marks on it so that I can see if the valves are actually touching the piston at any point. Honestly, if I get it all assembled and I can turn it by hand and I don't get any resistance, that's probably good enough, but maybe I'll put some type of ink or something just to make sure that I'm not getting any transfer. But with the combination of this ported head and the big bore kit, I'm hoping to pick up a couple more horsepower. On my last dyno run, I was at 13.5 horsepower. The goal this time is to get to 16. That would be fantastic. So here's the cylinder and the piston. The piston has the same flat profile that the stock one does, and that's why I don't think I'll have a problem with needing to increase that relief cut there, but again, we'll see here in just a little bit. Something else that's important to note on the 2022 cylinders here, I measured the distance between the head studs. I believe on this model it was like 50 millimeters. On my 2019 Monkey, it's closer to 60 millimeters. And the reason that I bring that up is that I think that's going to always limit how big of a bore we can put on this particular bike. If you look at this where it's a little bit bored out, it's already pretty close to the head studs, and this is only a 140cc. This won't be a step-by-step on how to install a big bore kit. I'll link in the description below and also above to a video that I did that goes step-by-step on how to remove the head and the cylinder and assemble all of it. I'll touch on a couple of key points that are different on the 2022, but it's honestly a pretty straightforward process. You take off the exhaust and the intake manifold and all of the sensors. There's 2 bolts on the side, then there's the 4 nuts on the top. The head slides off, the cylinder slides off. You take out the wrist pin, take off the piston, put on the new piston, wrist pin, cylinder, head, and then you're done. I know I'm oversimplifying it, but it's really a pretty straightforward process. 2 things that I wanted to point out before I slide off the stock cylinder. One is there's this plastic piece here that sits at the bottom between the cylinder, and it also goes into the head that runs just under the timing chain. I think it's just to prevent chatter, quiet that down a little bit. The other interesting thing is you can see the sensor here. The temp sensor for the oil is actually now plugged into the head directly instead of where it used to be plugged into the cylinder. All right, so here is the stock cylinder and the new Yuminashi. All right, so ring gap. When I put in a big bore kit, the 143cc into my 2019 Monkey, and that was the first big bore kit that I did, and that was honestly when I was first really getting into these small bore engines, I quickly melted it, and of the, I don't know, 70 or 80 comments that were in that thread, I swear half of them were that I didn't gap the rings. Now I'll be honest, I didn't gap the rings and I didn't know about gapping the rings, but since then I've done a lot of big bore kits, and every time I bothered to look at gapping the rings, it's always within spec. So I really think the reason I melted that was because I had very lean fueling that caused it to get really hot, and that's what caused it to melt. To satisfy everybody, I'm going to gap the rings on this one too. So the math that I have from Wiseco's website is that for the first ring, you want 0.004 inches times the size of the bore. So I converted my 53 millimeter size piston to be 2.08661 inches. Anyway, that'll give me then 0.0083 inches, which converts to 0.21 millimeters. For the second ring, it's the same math, just starting with 0.005 inches as the multiplier, which there gets me to 0.0104 inches or 0.26 millimeters. So everybody, I'm checking the gap. When I end up melting this piston, it was something else. All right, and the way I gap the ring is I get the ring into the cylinder here, and then I use the piston to just lightly press it down so that I can also make sure that it's perfectly even. And then the space that I'm gapping is this little space right here. Using the correct feeler gauge, it does fit in there just fine. And then the second ring, the black ring. Shit, that one actually is too tight. Go figure. All right, let me file this down just a bit. I assume there's a piston ring file or something, but this small file I have will have to do. All right, the gap is now good, but lesson learned, gap your rings. So the head gasket that came with the Yuminashi kit is actually quite a bit thicker, maybe twice as thick as the stock head gasket. What I'm going to do though, to again make sure that these valves aren't going to hit the piston, I'm going to put the old head gasket on since it's thinner, assemble everything, maybe not the intake manifold, but at least get the timing chain and timing gear on and the cam back in, and just turn it by hand. If I can get it all the way through without it binding, and then I'm putting on a gasket that's even thicker, I should be good to go. Yeah, nothing. All right, so let me take it back off, get the correct, even larger head gasket on, and we're gonna fire this up. All right, so I put the correct gasket in, got everything buttoned back up, and moment of truth. No spark plug. Almost everything was buttoned up. All right, take two. All right, well, it runs. It actually sounds exactly like it did before I had the big bore kit. It's been a very motorcycle-centric weekend here at the house. My wife has spent the weekend at her riding course, and she's doing well on that. And after installing the big bore kit, I put 150 miles on it to try to break it in as best as I could before I took it up to Riderzblok to get it tuned and dyno tested. The results weren't as stellar as I'd hoped, so for those that don't want to hear the details of the tuning and where I plan to go next, just to get straight to it, I made 14.36 horsepower and 9.2 foot-pounds of torque. So that was only about 1 additional foot-pound of torque and not even quite 1 more horsepower. 14.4 horsepower is decent power for that bike, but I'm really looking at a goal more towards that 16 number, which I was hoping I'd get. Honestly, in the 150 miles of riding that I did on the big bore kit, I was pretty sure that I was only going to pick up about a horsepower because the bike didn't feel significantly different. And comparing it to the Monkey that is making 16 horsepower, it was a pretty marked difference. But I do have some ideas on where I can make that power. So a couple things. One is the baffles in the Yoshimura dual exhaust. Removing those netted me almost an additional half of a horsepower. When I talked to Yoshimura previously, they had mentioned that leaving the baffles in should give you more power. I assume that's based on a stock engine though. So for my engine with the big bore kit, the ported head, the intake, the cam, and the A-Racer to do tuning, again, I was able to make about an extra half horsepower by removing those baffles. So just food for thought for those of you that have those baffles in, depending on where you are in your engine builds. I think my biggest restriction right now is still airflow. The ported head is flowing very well. The exhaust for the most part flows well, although the neck at the header seems really thin, particularly compared to how beefy it is at the back of the exhaust. So as I do more testing, it may end up that I have to build a custom header so that front part of the exhaust can flow air a little bit better. We'll see where I get, but that is a potential area that I could improve some of that. The other is the intake manifold and the throttle body. I'm still running the stock setup, so that's probably my biggest restriction. I know CJR and I believe some others are working on ported manifolds and throttle bodies, so I think that'll be one of the most crucial elements to trying to make more power at this point. Also at this point, I think I can make the recommendation that for those that are looking to make decent power on the Grom, the intake, cam, and exhaust, and then a good tune that got me to about 13.5 horsepower is probably the most economical and efficient way to do your build. The next steps for me, I think, are going to be increasingly difficult and challenging to make that next couple horsepower. I'm really looking forward to that challenge, but for those that are just looking to get a little more power, I think those bolt-ons and the tune is probably the way to go. Although, again, I'm excited to see how much power I can make out of it. Again, one of the biggest limiting factors is that the head studs are so much closer on this engine that the big bore kits are never going to get as big as they were on the previous version, so won't be able to have the big displacement and need to figure out the best way to make power in absence of that. In all the time that I've been spending at Riderzblok as they've been doing the tuning, I've also learned quite a bit about the A-Racer and how to set it up. So let me know in the comments below if you guys would be interested in me putting together a dedicated video talking about how to set up the A-Racer and all of the things that I've learned in this part of the process so far. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I still have a lot more to come on this bike as well as the other builds going on in my garage. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and keep on building.